Hi, my name is Morgan and I am a neuroscientist. Today we are going to be triggering some people by having a demon teach you about neuroscience. I was going more for like really intense demon, but I ended up more with like demon librarian vibes. Either way, here I am to teach you some stuff about neuroscience. So this whole spooky month of October, I've been going over different spooky neuroscience concepts, and I don't want to run out of things for next year. Hopefully I'm still doing this, and so I figured I would do another react video to horror movies. If you want to see part 1, I'll link it in a card up here. I did a reaction video to the brain eating scene in Hannibal and the brain operating scene in Get Out. And today we're going to be just looking at some videos. I literally typed into YouTube horror movies, brains, and other variations of that. And we're just going to see what pops up. I have different headphones here because I figured out about halfway through setting up for this that the headphones I normally wear go over my head and that doesn't really work. So this first scene is from Gremlins 2. It came out in 1990 and it's the brain gremlin scene. If you don't know what Gremlins is, it's a classic horror movie. The first one was really popular, all the rest weren't. But in the first one, a kid gets a gremlin as like a Christmas present, like he was just handed it. And the gremlin is like an animal that is normally soft and furry and cute, but you can't feed it after midnight or get it wet. Or I think there's like one other rule. And if you do any of those things, it sort of like spawns and becomes evil. So the brain gremlin is one of the spawns from the original Gremlin, if I remember right.
Take a look at this, guys. You know how I've been working on making these tomatoes tougher for when they ship them?
That's terrific, Wally. Top notch.
That would be impressive.
How do they taste?
That's the best part. We've already had calls from the chefs at 2 of the airlines.
So that's what a gremlin looks like whenever they're evil.
Oh my gosh. Did somebody leave something out? Not I.
It's eating my vegetable medley. What is that noise they're making?
I think they're laughing. Reptiles don't laugh! Well, then they're not reptiles, Louis. Then what are they?
I do love the scientist mentality, like, oh, there's a freaky thing in our lab throwing stuff at us and drinking our stuff. What is it? Let's classify it real fast. And that's not totally wrong. Also, I like that he asked if someone left something out, because my guess is that's like a reference to sometimes scientists will leave stuff out and it'll grow things. And that's actually how antibiotics were first discovered. I believe it was penicillin was discovered by a guy named Fleming who like left out a sandwich in the lab, which you're not supposed to have a sandwich in the lab. But he left a sandwich in the lab as he went on vacation, and whenever he came back it had mold on it, and that mold ended up being penicillin. So fun facts, not brain related, but...
Hey, Martin, a virus?
I love the label. That's just a brain. Even whenever we have brains in jars, we don't just label it with a brain. Like, you label what it is, what it came from. Like, the brain tells you nothing. They would not pass any lab safety inspections.
What on earth is going on? Leave you people alone for 5 minutes, and what do I find when I get back? Utter chaos.
That really is the way the lab is when the PI walks in.
I trust that's not the brain hormone that creature's drinking.
The brain hormone? Oh, I know this. Like, the whole point of these is just to laugh at these movies. Like, no one had, like, a neuroscience consultant or, like, even really cared that much about getting the neuroscience right. So, like, it's fine. But brain hormone, like, first of all, I believe all hormones exist within the brain. Not all hormones are produced in the brain, but I do believe all of them exist in the brain at some point. I will fact check that and put it here, whether I'm right or wrong. Also, yeah, there's a lot of brain hormones. Also, fun fact about, like, I was really confused for a little while about the difference between a hormone and a neurotransmitter, because a lot of neurotransmitters are also hormones. A neurotransmitter is just what it sounds like. It's something in the brain that transmits information. And the difference there is a neurotransmitter is within the brain and a hormone is in the bloodstream, probably not in the brain. So actually, brain hormone would not exist. It would be a neurotransmitter, but anyways, like I said, no neuroscience consultant. It's just a supposedly scary movie. I think nowadays we just laugh at it. Like, it's pretty funny.
Good boy. Nice boy. That's a good creature.
Just approach it like it's a dog. It'll be fine.
Now, let's talk this over. I can get you diseases. You'd like that, wouldn't you?
Did he just offer a random creature a disease? That's not good. And why would you do that? Scientists are not diseases.
Perhaps not.
That's definitely what happens anytime you give any animal drugs. It's not. They should definitely be calling someone at this point. Surely to God, someone's calling someone. Anytime we give any creatures any hormones that might make them smarter, they do magically develop glasses. That is a real fact.
Wanna talk a little bit about what's going on in this room, because I think there are some fascinating ramifications here for the future. When you introduce genetic material of research quality to a life form such as ours, which is possessed of a sort of, I hesitate to use the word, atavism, but let us say a highly aggressive nature. For example, that fellow over near the,
I can't get over these labelings. I'm sorry. Labeling is extremely important in a lab. And, like, you can't just label things with pictures. No. Also, there's no one single hormone or chemical that would make a creature that can't talk, obviously, or else our dogs would be able to talk to us. But this is wild.
I believe that's a common bat of the order Chiroptera, the only mammals, I might add, capable of true flight.
I don't understand what they're suggesting here. If you drink bat DNA, you're not gonna grow wings. Maybe since they're gremlins and like this weird alien life. I think they're aliens. I don't know. But maybe because they have like weird DNA, maybe they can like absorb whatever. But like, you would not grow wings if you just drank bat DNA. We would all have wings.
Ah, genetic sunblock. Yes. Might I have a brief word with you? My friend, you have potential. I want to help you be all that you can be, may I? As I'm sure you're aware,
I'm gonna make videos at some point on like the really unethical experiments that were done in the past, because there were a lot of experiments that we have done as like a scientific community on minorities and underprivileged communities. And this is what it sounded like whenever they were trying to like pitch it. They would be like, we're gonna improve your life, we're gonna make it so much better, you seem to have real potential to help us cure this disease, and then they would like give them a disease. So yeah, that's not inaccurate. So that's fun that they got that part right. Also, genetic sunblock may exist. I think the implication is that this is like a plant lab, and so maybe for plants, I'm not a botanist. I don't know about that. But for humans, like, again, we would all be immune to the sun. Let's just say that none of these scientific things actually exist, because I'll point them out if a real one exists, and that'll be easier.
Sunlight poses a problem for our ethnic group. We don't tan, we don't burn. Frankly, we just become a rather unappetizing sort of photochemical leftover. Thus, this formula, specially designed for those of the nocturnal persuasion, to make bright light no problem whatever. That will be of crucial usefulness where you'll be going.
Okay, I will say this because it bothers me every single time I see this in a movie ever. All injections need to be done in a specific spot. It might, like, not necessarily like, oh, it has to be done in your arm, but like it has to be done in like a fatty tissue, or it has to be done in a muscle, it has to be done under the skin, it has to be done in the skin, it has to be in a vein. Like, there's all of these different spots where injections have to be given. If they're not given in the right spot, they're either not as effective, not effective at all, or they could actually kill you. So please, movie directors, I know you're not watching this, but stop doing this. Like, they need to be put in certain spots. And if that's meant for like a tomato, I doubt that he's putting it in the right spot.
What does he mean where he'll be going?
We can't let them get away. All they have to do is to eat 3 or 4 children, and there'd be the most appalling publicity.
There it is. The apple. The city's so nice they named it twice. Check it out one time, won't you?
That's it! Don't let it get away!
Also, now that I'm looking at this, they had a tomato researcher in there with a bat and with whatever other animals are in the background. No, researchers are highly specific. Like, you might have someone who works with rats and mice, but you definitely don't have someone who works with plants and animals. Nice Batman reference. Okay, I think that's the end of that scene. We'll move on to the next one. That didn't really have a whole lot of brainy stuff going on, but I'm happy to spread information about lab safety also. But this next movie that we're going to look at is RoboCop 2, and it looks like it came out in 1990. I'll be totally honest, I haven't seen any of the RoboCop movies. Don't fully understand them. I think there's a cop who's a robot. But the thumbnail for this had a brain in a jar, and so I'm going to guess there's some brain stuff going on.
Good news for you. You're going to have a chance for immortality. As long as nothing happens to that lovely brain.
Always with the immortality in the brain. I have a video, I'll link it up here somewhere, on the head transplant, which is a guy who thinks that he can create immortality by figuring out how to transplant our brains. Like I said, I'll link it up there. I have a lot of issues with it. First of all, your brain ages too. Even if like we figured out how to take out your brain and put it in something else, keep it alive somehow, your brain ages. Like, that's what Alzheimer's is, that's what dementia is, Parkinson's, like all of those diseases that like older people get that happen in their brain, that's your brain aging. Your brain would die at some point even if your physical body was able to stay the same. Like, your brain is not immortal. Like, stop thinking that and stop saying it, and please stop.
Dr. Weltman? It's Vex. I'm afraid we lost our patient. Yeah, he just expired. Contact the organ harvest team. Make it fast. We've got 6 minutes before the brain's useless.
That's not how that works. So my mom's a nurse in an ER, so I know vaguely how this stuff works. Also, just from like common sense, the monitors that he's like hooked up to sense different things that sort of keep you alive, and if any of them drop below a certain point, they'll go off, and then nurses with a crash cart will have to rush in and try to save him unless he has a do not resuscitate order. So no, you don't just casually call someone and say like, hey, he's dead, the end. I don't know what this woman's position is. Maybe she's not part of the hospital, but everyone would definitely notice if a man went from being like alive and hooked up to monitors to not alive and not hooked up on monitors, there's a middle period where he's hooked up to the monitors and they're screaming at people. So, no. That is accurate, though. Movies don't get that right a lot of times. With the breathing tube down your throat, you can't talk. Like, I've seen movies where they talk with the breathing tube down their throat, and you can't. So, like, props to them for that.
Night.
See, that screaming sound is actually hooked up to something at the nurse's station where they get like a little like alarm. I don't know exactly how it works, but somehow that communicates with the nurse's station and the nurses would be rushing in. This did come out in 1990, so the hospitals may have had different rules back then, but if it happened nowadays, that's how that works. That was pretty accurate, though. A lot of times movies will just show someone being unplugged and then they immediately die, and that's not really how it works, so their body will fight for a little bit. So, like, that was good.
We only got 5 minutes. Lock it up.
I'm not really sure where they're getting this time from. I don't know how long your brain would last while you're dead, but 6 minutes feels just, like, very weirdly specific, and I don't know. I have weird feelings about it.
Move the screen in a little closer. I can't read it.
How'd we get this one?
Well, Fax found him. He volunteered.
Volunteered. Big-hearted guy.
Yeah.
He did not volunteer.
It's not the heart we're after, though.
Speaking of hearts, how's Eileen?
Christ, does everybody know?
I don't know what the weird X mark was for, but yeah.
Hold your breath.
That is, if you go back and watch my other reaction video, in both Hannibal and Get Out, they like just very easily remove the scalp. That's more accurate. You would not have that easy of a time getting the scalp off. It is sort of not like connected, but also not connected. I know that's not super helpful. There's a lot of like pressure and fluids and a little bit of connective tissue going on up there to where you couldn't just casually like pull it off.
And showtime. It's nice and clean in here. There's no damage.
I don't know why the top of the skull has all that stuff in it, though. The top of your skull is actually like super flat, so that's weird. Unless they're trying to say that they got the dura off with it, which again, if you watch my other video, the dura is between the brain and the skull, and it protects the brain from various things. But it wouldn't come off with that. You would have to also cut through it.
Well, here we go.
We got it. Here it comes. Thing of beauty.
Excellent.
I don't know what in the world those like tongs were for. Like, your brain is a lot bigger than those could grab. I don't know for a fact, but I think you would just have to go in there with your hands. I can't think of a tool that would be big enough to grab a human brain. That was weird. And also they didn't get the dura matter, so I was spot on with that one. I'm guessing that they are saying that it came off with the skull.
I don't know about the rest of you. I'm hungry.
They're saying that they got the spine out. No. Oh my god. I mean, so it is possible to do this. I don't know how, but there's like traveling displays of human bodies. That sounds awful, but I'll link one of them below. I don't remember what it's called, but I'll put one in the description of like these people who have like preserved bodies that they use for like education, and they sometimes have something like this where the brain and the skull, or where the brain and the spinal cord are out. So it is possible. It's definitely not possible if you're only coming from the skull, because I think maybe they're implying that they pulled it all the way out like that, which wouldn't work. There's so much that your spine is connected to, like the entire rest of your body. So that's not really possible. I don't know what that's about. My guess is that you would have to go in from like behind, maybe. I don't know. Also, your spinal cord doesn't look like that. Now that I'm looking at it, that's way too thick. Your spinal cord is actually pretty thin. It fits inside of your spine. So like that is way thicker than a spine is. So your spine is these bones. I'll put up a picture of what your spinal bones look like, and they have like a hole in the middle that your spinal cord goes through. So like it's pretty small actually if you think about it. And your brain's way smaller than that. That's really a large brain. Like, your brain has to fit inside your skull. I don't know why these people don't know about bones. Bones constrict where all of these things can go. And, yeah, if it wouldn't fit inside your skull, that's not how big your brain is. Like... Okay, they're saying that they didn't take it out of the spine. So I guess it still feels... I'm trying to feel mine to see, because I didn't do super well in anatomy. But this still feels pretty big. I'm not gonna say it's a lie, but it feels pretty big. Okay, so that's that on that. God, that was weird. And I don't think I have to tell you that we don't have a way of keeping a brain alive outside of a human body yet. I don't think that it would look anything like that. I don't know what fluid they're trying to say they have it in. You'd have to have it in something similar to cerebrospinal fluid, which is spinal fluid, but in your brain. And we do have artificial cerebrospinal fluid, so you could put it in that, theoretically. Don't know what all these electrodes hooked up to it are. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna piece this apart. It doesn't exist. I don't know how to, like, fix it. So, anyways, that was our fun journey back into scary movies and different brain things. I think we ended up learning a lot more about like lab procedure than we did about brains. But either way, I'm happy to spread information about things. If you want to check out any of my other videos, that would mean a lot to me. I appreciate everyone who's been subscribing and liking my videos. It really, really means a lot. This is my last video spooky season, so that's exciting and kind of sad because we're going to go back to sort of like normal neuroscience content. So if there's anything specific that you would like to see, I've been doing a lot of spooky things because that's what I want to do, but if there's any questions that you've ever had about a brain, anything you've ever wondered about yours or someone else's, if you've ever wondered how certain things work, just leave them in the comments below, or you can reach out to me on any of my social medias. I'll put them all here, and I'll also have them in the description. And if you just ask me anything, the channel's called Ask a Neuroscientist for a reason, so ask me and I will do my best to answer your questions. Next week I'll actually have my very first question that someone has asked, and I'm very excited. I'm researching it now and I think it's going to be really interesting. So I'll see you all next Wednesday, and thanks for watching. Bye!